Console, online. HPG connection, online. Educational module, online. All systems, nominal.
Hello, class, and welcome to On the Origin of Battlemechs Podcast, episode 53. I'm your host, Brent Stewart McKee. My co-hosts today are...
I'm Joshua.
And I'm Chandler.
And today we are talking about the Catapult, a 65-ton fire support mech, a absolutely fantastic machine in my opinion.
I do love mine in Mechwarrior Online.
I need to put AC-20s on it. That is the joke.
I actually, my brother has a K2 where he replaced the machine guns with AC-20s. And he has like an LRM-5 in there, maybe two, that he uses to pretend to be a missile support mech. And then when the enemy lights run up thinking they're going to kill a missile boater, he turns on them and hits them with dual AC-20s.
Guys, I still whoosh. Don't worry. Come closer.
Hi, Ben. That was for you.
Ben, you're my hero.
So the Catapult started out with Hollis Industries wanting to enter into the ring with the big boys of the military-industrial complex. In order to do this, they built a brand new high-tech facility and set about designing the Catapult, a 65-ton fire support mech of distinctive design. While received well and would be deployed throughout the Terran Hegemony and produced in vast numbers during its 3-year contract, when the contract was up for renewal, Hollis began to work on the Battlemaster line, a mech which would give them notoriety and fortune when the Terran government declined to renew the Catapult contract, saying it's just not what we're looking for. The mech was deployed to second-line units and fire support units. Its lack of hands and anti-infantry weaponry in general limit the machine's use on the battlefield, but like any specific designed machine, when it is used correctly, it is devastating to the enemy. After its production run, the machine survived over the years, and after the fall of the Star League and the decrease in tech level, the Catapult became a coveted machine. It is noted that several military actions were undertaken just to secure a machine. After many years, the Catapult would be reborn in both the Draconis Combine and the Capellan Confederation, each with a very different flavor. So this guy has the design quirks of minimal arms and weak head armor 1.
Okay, Brent.
Yeah.
Brent, say it with me now.
Catapult.
Now say it together. Catapult. There we go.
I think I flipped it once, all right?
That and every other time we've ever mentioned it.
So we come to the C1 to start, and this guy came out in 2561. It's got a movement profile of 464. It has 2 medium lasers in the center torso, a medium laser in the left torso, and a medium laser in the right torso, and then it has an LRM-15 in each arm. It has 15 heat sinks, and it has 1 ton of ammo in each torso, the left and the right, so it has 8 shots for each of those LRM-15s, so it doesn't have a lot of sustainability on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's one of its big drawbacks.
Especially the early models.
I mean, what can you say about a Catapult? It's got missiles, it goes whoosh, it jumps, so it goes whoosh and its missiles go whoosh. I think it's mentioned that it was attached a lot to like mountaineering regiments, which I think it really shines in, because like the Archer might be a better missile boat, but like it can't get up a mountain.
No, those jump jets help out insurmountably because you can just pop over anything you need.
It is a Pop-Tart.
Yeah, they definitely give it a lot of maneuverability, though I actually found in the Mechwarrior games, I prefer stripping out the jump jets on this guy in order to increase the size of my missile launchers and the amount of ammo I'm carrying. So I can understand why, if they had the Archer, the Terran Hegemony didn't really want the Catapult.
Yeah, no, totally makes sense. When I'm playing HBS and if I get 2 of these guys, what I will do is have one with jump jets and the double LRM-15s, and then strip out the jump jets for LRM-20s in the other one. So I have one that can be a missile boat / spotter, just hop on top of a building and be like, oh, hi. Bleh.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Now, ironically enough, I think this is a great mech for clan-style warfare where you know it's going to be a limited engagement and you know the kind of terrain you're going to be in.
That is a very good point.
Because then you can say,
Yeah.
hey, we're fighting in these mountains. I'm bringing my catapult. But for regular long-term campaigns, I'll take an archer over the catapult any day.
Especially a raiding action, because it's got those hands, so it can run off with stuff.
Yep.
Well, that, and also, it can also throw hams. Be like, whoop-ah, and whoop-ah.
Yeah. Although the minimal arms here have an interesting aspect in both the rules and in-universe, possibly. Because it only has the upper arm actuators, it can actually flip those missile pods 180 degrees and treat the rear arc like it's front arc.
Nice.
That's in classic Battletech.
So similar to the longbow.
Yes. Which I guess if you're running away is super useful. But the other thing that you don't get in the game, and I don't know if I've ever read about it in a book, but it could theoretically tilt those missile pods up to a very high angle and then really use that indirect fire, almost in a mortar-like high arcing flight path to go over the tops of mountains or ridges or even high rises.
I mean, that sounds great in
Yeah.
theory, but how much of a dispersion rate would it have at that point? Like, would it even be effective?
So
Obviously, you just get swarm LRMs.
I mean, that's the thing with LRMs and how do they work in universe? Because when we read about them in most novels, they work one way, and that's not the way they work in most
Tabletop systems.
or Mechwarrior games.
Yeah.
Like in most Mechwarrior games, you hold your targeting reticle over your enemy, and then they lock on, and then you fire.
Mm-hmm.
In most novels, they don't have that lock. At least not most of the novels I've read. You're actually trying to lead the target, and you're basically dumb firing your LRMs.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both depending on the system, depending on the writer, and also what equipment the mech has, because obviously Swarm is going to be written differently than regular LRMs.
And I mean, we've
Yeah.
got multiple launch rocket systems in the real world, which are rocket-based artillery.
Mhm.
So there's real-life precedent for it. And if you have a tag unit and semi-guided LRM munitions, I don't think there would be a huge problem with dispersion if you're tilting those launchers back to...
If you have a spotter, that completely changes the equation.
Good old Free Worlds League. You're welcome.
So the C1 has a battle value of 13.99 and a point value of 32. We then come to the A1, seen in 2563, and this guy has the same movement profile of 464, and it has an LRM 15 in each arm. It has 15 heat sinks. It has 2 tons of ammo in each torso, so doubling up, you've now got 16 shots with each LRM 15, which is good, increases that sustainability, but you don't have anything to deal with anything rushing you.
It also increases its armor by 2 tons.
Yes, that as well.
Yeah, it is a tanky boy. Yeah, I mean, it's just a different take on the C1. It's definitely I'd almost say a side grade. Like, if you know you are not going to get hit by anything close up, like it's all going to be like counter battery fire, the A1 is probably your better bet. But, I mean, how often do you actually know for a fact you're not going to get close-in engagement? Not very often.
Probably only if this is assigned to, like, a Castle Bryan where it doesn't leave.
Yeah, where I have wall.
If we're saying the C1 is kind of a mountaineering, almost spec ops, light infantry type mission profile.
Maybe mobile artillery would be a good way to describe it.
I mean, it's still got the medium lasers. It's designed. I'm thinking like when you're fighting in terrain like Afghanistan, where there's lots of really steep valleys and ridges, and you can be ambushed at any time. That's where you want the C1. The A1 is your Patton model, where you are rolling across the plains of Europe, and you're going to be engaged in stand-up fights and receive counter battery fire, but you also know that you're not going to be caught with your pants down up close, because there's going to be other mechs out in front of you screening and engaging, and your job is just to sit there and give them fire support when they call for it. And that's the role of the A1.
I mean, I can't disagree with that description.
It's literally an artillery mech.
Yeah, just without actual artillery.
Well, it's a missile boat according to the role.
Well, yes, you gotta remember, the A1 was developed before they introduced artillery to the game, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm saying its role is given on the Alpha Strike card as a missile boat, but its functional role in a military setting is as artillery.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1285 and a point value of 31. We then jump forward to the C4 in 2565. The Angry Play-Doh model.
The angriest.
This guy's got a movement profile of 464. It's got 2 small lasers in the center torso, an LRM 20 in the right arm, and an LRM 20 in the left arm. It's got 2 tons of ammo in each the left and right torso, so it's giving it 12 volleys from each arm, and it has 10 heat sinks. So, gonna get a little toasty when you open up with both of them, but, if this guy isn't moving and is just handing out LRM fire, then it shouldn't be too hard to manage.
Yeah, I think out of the 3 we've talked about so far, this is probably the best from a functional standpoint. It doubles down on being missile-based artillery, but unlike the A1, it maintains a couple small lasers to give it direct fire capability if it gets caught up close and personal.
Yeah, because of course the LRMs have a minimum range of 6.
Yeah, and there's still a little bit of an awkward space. There's still, like a 2 or 3 hex gap in between where the small lasers start and the LRM 20 minimum range starts. But, I mean, you've got 464. You can easily close that distance if you really need to.
Yeah, well, it's better than the A1, which has nothing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that minimum range gap there is more a product of game rules than necessarily how the universe works.
And if you're playing with the advanced rules, you could always just hot load your LRMs, so.
Yep.
That's also true.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1358 and a point value of 31. We then come to the K2 in 3603. This is the beginning of the Divergent Catapult models, which is... So the art, obviously, on the record sheet doesn't reflect this because it has the nice boxy LRM launchers, but this model doesn't have LRMs. What it has is...
PPCs.
Yeah.
Because Kurita.
This has got a machine gun and a medium laser in the right torso, same in the left torso, and then a PPC in each arm. It's got a movement profile of 4.6. It has 20 heat sinks, and it has a ton of machine gun ammo in the center torso. So, not where I'd put it, but there you go.
And if any of you listeners played in the early years of Mechwarrior Online, you know this as the Gossipult. Because rip everything out and place a pair of Gauss rifles where those machine guns are and start pop-tarting. Those were the bad old days.
I'm one of those weird people who thinks the series of catapults with the PPCs is probably the not the better version of the catapult, but I think the catapult I'd rather use in a weird way, just because I think it fits the chassis a bit better than the missiles. Not that the missiles don't.
Well, it's definitely a more flexible role, a more flexible machine.
And you can still do fire support with the PPCs. You just have to be, a little closer.
And have direct line of sight.
Hey man, you got jump jets. You can figure that out.
This one doesn't have jump jets. They take out the jump jets.
Oh,
so
it
they
doesn't.
Yeah.
God, okay, get rid of the machine guns, get a jump jets back, and I think we'll be okay.
The K series is very much like a World War II tank with solid direct line of sight firepower for dealing with enemy vehicles, and then some machine guns to deal with infantry. So really versatile.
The Ks are a great line. I just think they almost should be their own thing because they don't feel like a catapult. They feel like...
Catapult.
They don't feel like a catapult. They feel like something that is rubbing right up against the outside of the Venn diagram, if that makes sense. It's still a fire support mech, but it's direct line of sight, and this machine is a missile boat in my brain. Like that, it's like hardwired into my brain that this machine is a missile boat, if that makes sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense for me. I prefer using it as a missile boat and as missile artillery, both in Mechwarrior Online and in HBS. But HBS has kind of started to break me out of that mold, because when I see twin PPC shots come out of the darkness, my first thought is, that's a K2.
That's fair. Because if it was 3, your thought would be, it's an awesome.
Or it's a Shrek.
or a Warhammer.
Well, no, if it's got 3, then I'm thinking it's an Awesome or a Shrek.
Mm,
And I haven't played
yeah.
with the Warhammer yet, so
The K2 also is the first one to really show the customizability of the catapult.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, really, if you think about it, all you need to do to customize those your arm mounts is just unbolt them from the chassis and their actuator mount, and then you can shove anything there, as long as you can get the computer to play nice with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, it makes it a lot easier to maintain.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, oh no, the missile launcher ain't working right. Just slap a new one on. Like, just go down to the local corner store, buy a new Catapult missile launcher. Or put a different missile launcher on.
I'm sure the techs appreciate that I don't have to climb into the thing. I can just pop the whole thing off and then put it on the workbench and look at it.
until you have to climb down the missile tube to figure out what's obstructing it.
Yeah, you don't have to be dangling in the air to work on this, missile rack. You could pop it off the mech, set it down on the ground or on a gurney or however you're setting it down, and then work on it on the ground.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about people falling.
That's some artwork.
And then you also don't have to worry about, falling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know where I was going with the second one there, but falling. Gravity, yo.
You heard it here first. Chandler is a big fan of OSHA. All right, so...
OSHA approved is always a good thing.
That's some artwork that, thinking about it, I suddenly want is military types, especially ordnance techs, do silly stuff like pretend to mount each other to bomb racks, right?
Yeah.
So I want artwork that has a bunch of techs and each one's got his crawled into a missile tube, so just his head is sticking out of the catapult's missile tube.
I think we may know a man who can draw this.
We might.
I'll put you in contact with the guy I know.
We know a guy who knows a guy.
Wait, am I that guy?
Maybe.
So the K2's got a battle value of 1319 and a point value of 32. And then we come to the C1B in 2688. So, of course, the Royal model. We have a movement profile of 464. It's got 2 medium lasers in the center torso, a medium laser in the right torso, and a medium laser in the left torso, and then the LRM-15s in each arm. It also has 2 tons of ammo and case in both the left and right torso, and it's upgraded to Ferro armor, and it has 12 double heat sinks. So this is a pretty solid upgrade, gives it a little more sustainability because it has a little more armor, still keeps those 4 medium lasers, which is quite useful, and adds some more ammo, which is always good.
Yeah, I mean, the Royal is a very good upgrade by the Royal Mechworks, Round of applause for them. They did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
They did a good, kids.
Josh, you were saying?
Oh, just basically going to echo Chandler. B basically stands for better, right? When it comes to the Royals.
I thought it stood for bling.
How about it stands for both?
I mean, you could also argue that the Royal variant of the Catapult is arguably the best Catapult. Like, it keeps it simple. It doesn't get too complicated. There's a couple of bits of tech you'd want in it, but those haven't been invented by the time the C1B comes around.
It's true.
Like, you might want some C3, but that doesn't exist yet. So, for what you have and for keeping it at like the standard tech, this is the best Catapult, pretty much, in my eyes.
So this guy's got a battle value of 1570 and a point value of 37. We then come to the C1 Butterbee, seen in 3027. And this particular model is quite interesting. It is piloted by one of our notable pilots, Jenny, which we will cover later in the episode. It's got a movement profile of 464. It has the 4 medium lasers, 2 in the center torso and 1 in both the left and right torso. And then in the arms, it has 2 SRM-6s each. So this thing can sling 24 SRMs in a single turn. It has 15 heat sinks and 4 tons of ammo for those SRMs, total 2 in each torso.
That's a lot of SRMs.
That is a lot of SRMs.
It is machine gun whoosh.
Mm-hmm. Is it machine gun or is it shotgun?
I wonder if you could program it to fire each missile in succession. So, like, you pull the trigger and then it just goes one at a time.
I don't...
Like, it wouldn't be very practical on the battlefield, but I think it'd be cool to see.
Now, I'm just thinking of those, like, bartender videos where they have a whole, like, line of glasses set up along the bar and they just hit the one and they all go, like... No, just me? Okay.
Yeah, you don't want to run into this in a city fight. This
No.
This is the catapult put into a city fight role, which I think it does very well in.
Yeah.
Because you have the maneuverability to jump over a skyscraper with a single bound, and you have enough SRMs to scare anything.
And I mean, it's not in the rules mechanically for this guy, but we have seen it with other machines. It has a low profile. Maybe it's not low enough to qualify mechanically, but it's probably going to have a relatively easy job maneuvering around the street because no arms to catch on things. So this guy's got a battle value of 1242 and a point value of 31. We then come to the K3 in 3047. This next Cretan model has ER PPCs in each arm, and then keeps the machine gun and medium laser in both the left and right torso, has that movement profile of 4-6, and it has 20 double heat sinks. So definitely handling that heat better than its older brother. Yeah, no, this is neat. This is good. This is that heat management makes me like this a lot more. What can I say?
Yeah. The K3 is a solid upgrade on the K2.
It's a Renaissance era upgrade to the K2. If you like the K2, the K3 is just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to worry about someone getting underneath your minimum range. You just what minimum range?
Those ERPPCs, no minimum range, so you can get rushed and they're like, shoot. So this guy's got a battle value of 1437 and a point value of 33. We then come to our last model of this episode, the C3, seen in 3049. This guy's got a movement profile of 464. It has 2 medium lasers in the center torso, a medium laser in the right torso, a medium laser in the left torso, and in the right arm / right torso, it has a Arrow 4, and it has 1 ton of ammo for this guy, so 5 shots. Not a whole lot of sustainability on the battlefield there. And 15 heat sinks.
I mean, it literally is an artillery missile mech.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it has the biggest whoosh.
I mean, I would like them to take out 1 or 2 heat sinks or a laser for some more ammo, but I'm sure we'll get there with the models in the next episode.
There's not much to say here because it literally puts the artillery into what we've been talking about and going from little missiles to really big missiles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest difference is in the total range that this thing can shoot, which is much more true artillery than the more mortar ranges we get out of LRMs.
Okay, so question for you. The record sheet I have for this guy shows the Arrow 4 system having a range of no minimum 1, 2, and 8. That doesn't seem quite right.
Map sheets.
Oh, those are map sheets.
Yep.
Yeah.
There it is.
When you get to artillery, you don't measure in hexes. You measure in map sheets.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So, what's 8 times 17?
A number above 80.
136.
So, to answer your question, Brent, it has a range of 136 hexes.
Should do all right.
And I think it's listed in those 2 map sheet brackets because if you're shooting at less than half a map sheet, you are instant flight time. If you're shooting out to 2 map sheets, it's 1 turn. You have to wait before your round lands, I believe. And then so for every 2, so it's 3 rounds out to 4 map sheets, 4 rounds out to 6 map sheets, and 5 rounds out to 8 map sheets that you have to wait for your artillery to land.
Interesting.
If I recall artillery rules correctly.
That's cool. Yeah, I've never really had a chance to play with artillery, so...
That sounds about right from personal use. From personal experience, it's a pain in the butt to try to land artillery past a turn. Like, even trying to shoot it for the next turn is a pain, especially when you take into account, what's it called? Scatter. That's the word, scatter.
Mm-hmm. Hello, everybody. This is Brent from the future. Just popping in real quick to say that I double-checked the rules in tactical operations, and the indirect artillery flight time table says that for less than 1 full map map sheet, the flight time is 0, 1 to 8 is 1, 9 to 15 is 2, and it goes further down. But for most of our purposes, the 1 to 8 flight time of 1 turn is the most pretty much all of us are going to be dealing with. So just wanted to make sure we got the correct rules in there. I would hate to have anybody inadvertently be misinformed, so we strive to do the best here, and that's why I'm popping in to say this little bit. So let us now return to the episode.
So the trick is to have 0-0 Kage battle armor with tag, and then all you do is fire homing rounds.
That's true.
Because
but they still
then
also
you
have to
can
be within
go-
a certain distance of that homing round.
Yeah, it's like 7 hexes, 8 hexes
Yeah.
of the tag itself, so or of the original impact point, sorry.
With dummy rounds, I've had the best experience with Infernos, just because if you miss, oh well. Like area denial, they can't go there now.
We weren't playing out to 8 map sheets, but we were playing with quite a large map on Mega Mech, and one guy had brought 2 urban mechs with Arrow 4 and a whole bunch of 0-0 Kage battle armor. He became our anti-air player because he would launch an Arrow 4 in the general direction of where we expected the VTOLs to be the following turn, and then he would tag them with the Kage, and the VTOL would take an Arrow 4 to the face, which, with the way the artillery hits work, it does damage to basically all parts of the unit, and more than enough. I think it's a 5-point groupings, and VTOL rotor blades have 2 points of armor and 1 point of structure.
Oof.
So it was just one shot
Yeah.
in any VTOL.
Fly swatter.
Yep. The C3 has a battle value of 1368 and a point value of 38. So we then come to our pilot profiles, and our first pilot up today is Mechwarrior Jenny Templeton. The pilot of the Butterbee we talked about earlier in the episode. Jenny would favor urban combat, employing a strategy of firing only her lasers and disengaging. Her enemies, the Davians during the Fourth Succession War, would be pulled out of position and become overconfident. That is when Warrior Templeton would strike. She would open up with all of her SRMs, and if her target was not destroyed in the initial missile strike, they would be likely put down before the shock of what just happened wore off.
That's one way to handle it.
Yeah, I mean, using those SRMs effectively, right?
Whoosh.
Beware the whoosh.
Next up, we have Lieutenant Conan Davis, son of Martin Davis. Lieutenant Conan Davis was assigned to his father's unit, the 15th Dracon. He received the family Catapult after his father, Martin Davis, died from wounds received in battle. Conan is the oldest of the Davis boys. It's a C1 model, has severe damage to its left torso, which has caused chronic difficulties in its engine, and apparently damaged some of the jump jets because its jump jets have given flawed performance. Lieutenant Conan Davis currently, or as of 3025, is a commander of a heavy recon lance and has been battling against House Merrick forces on Gan Sing.
So next up we have Mechwarrior Janice Aberman. Janice is known for 2 things: her contempt for her enemy and the treatment of the support staff as fair game, and her neo-Gothic fashion sense that made her very out of place, but as a reportedly beautiful woman, it was not uncommon for her to have a group of individuals wanting her attention when she was out at the bar.
As of 3025, she was a member of the attack lance of the 21st Centauri Lancers, and her mech was equipped with Anderson 25 jump jets, which did not generate as much heat as the factory standard Catapult jump jets.
Yes, well, the 21s actually had a design flaw where they would accidentally vent into the internal structure of the machine, causing heating problems, so glad she got that fixed.
Yep, pro tip, everybody. If you've got Anderson 21s, upgrade to the 25s. And then our last notable pilot for today is Mechwarrior Walter Finney. In 3025, he was assigned to House Davian Syrtis Fusiliers' 5th Regiment. His catapult is in perfect running order, despite the fact that he's been in action on multiple campaigns against House Curita on the planet Breed. He was dispossessed and assigned to the infantry for a while, but he was fortunate enough to discover a battered but salvageable catapult during the fighting on Galatia. He's known for his prowess in combat, which has earned him significant respect from both his Cretan enemies and his Davian allies.
Sounds like a good dude.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get respected by both your allies and your enemies, that's not a bad sign. So, for our data dive today, we are going to keep on trucking through the history of the Terran Hegemony with Part 6. Jacob Cameron became the 8th Director General of the Terran Hegemony after his father, Richard, passed from a massive heart attack while on site at a HRAD facility in the Rockies. His father spoiled Jacob, and his mother was a known socialite with contempt for the lower classes, so it is little wonder that Jacob Cameron grew up into a self-absorbed, entitled, narcissistic, and to have delusions of grandeur. Jacob did serve in the HAF as a captain of the Crowned Lion, a Vincent-class corvette. It is well documented that Jacob's ego resulted in many talented and dedicated personnel resigning, being transferred for perceived slights, or being removed and blamed for issues once he was elevated to the role of Director General. Early in Jacob's reign, he embarked on the conquest of the planets along the Capellan Confederation and Federated Suns border, risking uniting the two enemies. The military campaign resulted in minor victories paid for in blood. Many citizens felt it was a price not worth paying. With his winning personality, he was shocked when an assassination attempt nearly took his life. Fortunately for Jacob, he had not drank enough of the poison to be deadly. In response to the attempt, he ordered a planet-wide blackout and started the largest manhunt to date to find the conspiring parties.
The conspirators.
It's a conspiracy.
It's a trap. The investigation was led by an ambitious High Counselor named Lady Terrans Amaris.
The name Amaris will never come up ever again. Don't have to ever worry about it.
Indeed. After recovering from the attempt on his life, Jacob did not turn over a new leaf, but learned what he could get away with. And so he set up or increased outreach programs and medical infrastructure. His charitable donations never changed the way the population viewed Jacob, but it also likely helped prevent another assassination attempt. He is remembered primarily for being the Director General who championed the Battlemech program. With the Terran Hegemony being the center of human research and development, much of the technology that would form the Battlemech was already being designed or developed before Jacob was elected. But Jacob would be the one to combine it all together to create the first Battlemech, the Mackie. But the reality is that Jacob gambled everything as the Mackie program soaked up all available funding and resources and workforce. The Terran Hegemony overall continued to increase the overall tech level, but the effect of focusing all of the Terran Hegemony's resources into a single program resulted in a stagnating standard of living and reduced availability for services and products. Fortunately for Jacob Cameron, his gamble paid off, or perhaps the collective will to make it work carried the Mackie over the line into a success. As we all know, the first test happened in 2439, but the first combat action was in 2443 when a lance of Mackies faced off against the 801st Heavy Armored Regiment on the planet of Styx. The lone surviving tank was allowed to leave the battlefield to spread word of what happened, that a new god strode the battlefield. Jacob Cameron would continue to support his pet project and coveted the fact that his realm was now the master of the battlefield. So it is no wonder that when the Battlemech technology was stolen, first by the Lyran Commonwealth in 2455, and then by the Draconis Combine in 2461, it incensed and insulted Jacob's sensibilities. That same year that the Draconis Combine secured the Mackie specifications was the same year that the Director General, Jacob Cameron, died of a stroke, no doubt sped along with his indulgence and life of comfort. Jacob had nominated his son, Theodore, to be his successor for the title of Director General, and since the Terran Hegemony is now a, let us say, constitutional monarchy with many asterisks, Theodore was elected without any real challenge. It is important to note that 25% of the population voted against Theodore, be it in spoiled ballots, write-in candidates, or simply a void of citizens' votes. Theodore was much like his father in that he enjoyed the finer things in life, but also lacked a focus, and so was a vacillating Director General on all but the most hard-held beliefs. on such beliefs that he was due all comforts and experiences. The two main things that the Terran hegemony produced during Theodore's reign was battlemechs for their military buildup and rebuilding or modernizing historical areas for Theodore to enjoy. Early in his rule, he not only diverted astronomical funds to rebuild Louis XIV's palace in Versailles for his personal use, and then later he had an important American landmark destroyed so that he could have a, air quotes here, small Texas ranch. With the stagnating standard of living started with Jacob and his single project focus, and then the vacillation and apathy of Theodore, the population took a unprecedented action. Terra had a general strike. It all started when San Antonians organized a work stoppage that the next day spread to all of North America, and by the end of day 3, all of Terra was shut down with protests all over the globe chanting, "Remember the Alamo."
What?
That was the landmark that got torn down, the Alamo.
Is it a landmark?
Battletech, why?
We are unsure exactly what part of the entire affair broke through Theodore's thick skull, but he learned from this event. Sadly, he did not learn moderation and responsibility. What he learned was how much he could take without any pushback, and how to mitigate that said pushback. He rebuilt the Alamo and ensured that the population was comfortable, but took no action to counter the stagnating quality of life for the population. After all, it was their responsibility to make their own lives better. I mean, just look at what the Camerons have accomplished all by themselves. That was sarcasm. The other notable event that happened during Theodore's reign as Director General was the military action that poisoned the Free World League and Terran hegemony relations. At the time, the Free World League was building up a massive war fleet that could rival that of the Terran hegemony, making security of their border a difficulty. In response, Theodore ordered the Terran hegemony's fleet to crush the Free World League armada. He took personal command and led the battle. The aftermath was that of 20 Free World League ships being destroyed, with the Terran hegemony only losing 2, and a political crisis that allowed Brian Merrick to depose his older brother, Carlos Merrick. This is where we will leave off today, with Theodore winding up his run as Director General, burning capital faster than it can come in, with an impressive military and navy.
Of course, the Terran hegemony sharpening their teeth on the Free World League.
Free Worlds League, the Inner Sphere's favorite chew toy since 2560.
Unless you're Davian, and then it's the Compellans.
Yeah.
Fair.
Or Karita, although
Yeah.
half the time Karita chews back.
Yeah, so it's less of a chew toy and more of a sparring partner.
Fair.
But they hold a grudge.
I mean, to be fair, so do the Davians.
Yeah.
Our sources for today are Sarna, Battletech Battlemech Manual, Master Unit List, Succession Wars TRO and RS, 3050 TRO Upgrade, Record Sheets 3050 Unabridged, Record Sheets 3085 Old is the New, and Ill Clan Recognition Guide Volume 5.
Lieutenant Conan Davis and Mechwarrior Walter Finney are both from TRO 3025, along with Mechwarrior Janice Aberman, who is the only one of the 3 to survive into the newer TROs.
This podcast is made possible by our supporters on patreon.com/on the Origin of Battlemechs, link in the description. Our social media on Twitter is at Origin of Mechs. We also have a community Discord, the Armory of Ouroboros, link in the description. You can email us at ontheoriginofbattlemechs@gmail.com. If you enjoy the show, please leave a review on your platform of consumption, tell your friends about us, and share on your community platform of choice. Special thanks to my friend Laura for the intro and outro. Class dismissed. Everybody have a great day.
Peace out, Mech Warriors.
Stay safe out there.
Module complete. System standby. Would you like to load the next module?
Bye, Craig.
Bye, Craig.
So we lost. I was really worried that it was me that left for a second. I was like, oh no.
Not again. No, he just unexpectedly disconnected. Let's see if we can get him back in here just to...
I believe in you, Craig. Don't worry. Do not betray me in such ways, Craig. I don't need this. Don't do this to me.